that is behind, well, almost everything. A credit bureau that other credit bureaus are the ones that are actually getting information from. A credit bureau that lenders and credit issuers use to make all types of decisions about you that you would be shocked of the information that's actually on that report. A credit bureau that is actually so secret that you've maybe never even heard of it before and more than likely never even seen your credit report, but it's exactly the same place where law enforcement officers are getting their information when they write you tickets, or insurance companies are using the data to determine the type of insurance you should get and how much you're going to be charged for that insurance. The same place that controls most things happening in your life that you didn't even know about. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. Today, we are going to reveal the secrets. We are going to pull back the curtains and expose everything you need to know about LexisNexis. Now, if you're not familiar with LexisNexis, it's okay. They remain hidden for a reason, but I'm going to teach you how to get your LexisNexis credit report that looks a little bit something like this. This is my LexisNexis credit report. Yeah, it's a book, and you'll know why soon enough, because you're going to be shocked at everything that is on this actual credit report. So without further ado, let's dive in. So who is LexisNexis? Well, LexisNexis ultimately is a credit reporting agency, but they are very little known about credit reporting agency for a reason. You see, all other credit reporting agencies get you access on the front to get your actual credit reports. LexisNexis doesn't do that. Yet you can get a copy, and I'm going to tell you how to do so today. But you're not going to go find credit monitoring that gives you LexisNexis. You're not going to find LexisNexis advertised anywhere out there because it's not meant for you. You see, it's meant for all the people that make the decisions about you. It's meant for lenders and credit issuers. It's meant for government employees. It's meant for law enforcement officers, insurance companies, just about anybody that wants the deepest dive, the deepest digs into your life is getting a copy of your LexisNexis credit report. And they're accessing it because they know you don't know anything about it and you've probably never seen it. So in a lot of cases, they're using this report against you because what they're realizing is that this is the most accurate form of information because it's something you probably don't know about, you haven't been disputing, you haven't been trying to clean up. So this is where they're really getting all of their information from. So LexisNexis is a credit reporting agency, but instead of being front-facing where they're giving us information as consumers, they're basically working behind the scenes to give government, law enforcement, insurance companies, lenders, credit issuers, and so on, even other credit bureaus, all the information that they're using that you do see some of it on the front end. By the way, if you're just coming in, give me a shout out, give me your company name in the live stream, and I'm going to give you a shout out here and give like free promotion. Like thousands of people will see this, and just by dropping your company name in the chat, I'm going to give you a shout out, and then you'll be able to get all kinds of free exposure. Okay, so first of all, now that we know what LexisNexis is, a credit reporting agency, who really uses it? Well, let me tell you some of the main agencies that use it. The U.S. government uses it to get all kinds of information about you. Law enforcement uses it. So when you're there and, the police are checking your information to see what previous tickets you've had, well, they're pulling the data from ultimately LexisNexis. When you go to get an insurance policy and you get approved or denied and you pay the terms that you pay, it's because they're getting information from the LexisNexis credit report, and you'll be shocked at all the information they get. When you go to get loans and when you go to get credit lines, they're pulling the information from the LexisNexis credit report. As a matter of fact, more than half of all denials that take place are happening in large part because of what's in your LexisNexis credit report that you don't even know is actually in there. Okay, so these are some of the groups and some of the organizations that are using LexisNexis. Now, here's a better question. Why the heck would they use this over other credit bureaus? And by the way, speaking of credit bureaus, this is where the other credit bureaus get their information from as well. Business, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian. Consumer, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. So let me give you an example. If you've ever disputed a public record on your consumer credit report, a bankruptcy, a judgment, a tax lien, they are coming back, and if they've ever validated it and said, we verified the information is accurate, this is where they're getting the information from. You see, they're not going to get it from public records. They're not going to the courts to do it. What they're doing is they're actually getting it right here from LexisNexis. This is where they're actually getting the data from. So it's even where the other bureaus are getting their information from. And by the way, Liberty 76 Media LLC is in the house. Thanks for coming and joining us from YouTube. And howdy, No Barcode Printing and Mailing Ltd in Oregon. Thank you very much for coming in and tuning in from YouTube as well. All right, so why the heck would everybody want this versus your consumer credit report? Well, you can tell, I think I can say girth. Based on the girth of this report, here's an idea. Here's my fingers. So you can see about how big that is. This is about 300, nearly 400 pages. So when you've pulled your consumer credit report, you've never seen it look like a book. You've never seen it have this much information. So why is this 400 pages and a normal credit bureau might be 15, 10, 5? Well, because this has your entire life's history in it. So, for example, everything to do with every address you've ever owned is in your LexisNexis credit report. For me personally, my basic training address is in my LexisNexis credit report. Now, keep in mind, I lived at my basic training address for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So an address I looked at for 6 weeks is in my credit report. Every single address I've ever owned, since the very first one I was born at and lived till I was 5 years old, is in this credit report. So is every phone number I've ever had in my entire life, all the way back to my mom and dad's phone number that they had when I was born, all the way to today. Every home phone number, every mobile phone I've ever had in my life is also in this credit report. What else is in here is every email address you've ever had in your entire life. Now, here's why this matters. For years, I kept getting denied for things like merchant accounts and bank accounts because they said I was in the consumer credit repair industry. Well, I don't even deal with consumers. We deal with business owners, right? We're in business credit. So no matter what I said to try to convince them, they would not listen to me. Then I realized it. What happened was I had an old consumer credit repair company email address in my LexisNexis credit report. When I disputed it and removed the address, I no longer had any issues with getting merchant accounts, bank accounts. Basically, they were realizing and thought I was in consumer credit repair because I had an old consumer credit repair email address. That once I removed that, that turned around and started getting me approvals versus denials. Every license you've ever had in your life is in here as well. I used to have a mortgage license. No, it didn't get suspended. I just didn't renew it because I haven't been in mortgages for a long time. That is in my credit report. I'm a pilot. Okay, a lot of you know that's what I do for fun. I like to fly. So my private pilot's license is in my credit report. But not only is every license you've ever had issued in your LexisNexis credit report, every license you've ever had revoked is also in this credit report as well. Now let's talk about addresses. I already told you that every address you've ever had in your life is in your credit report, but here's how detailed the information is. Not only is your address for your home in your LexisNexis credit report, every home you've ever had, but also the building materials of your home. Legit. Like the building materials that your home is built with are disclosed in your LexisNexis credit report. Your homeowners association, do you have one? Who is it? It's in there too. How many stories is your home? How many air conditioning units do you have? How many garages do you have? This is the level of detail that is in this LexisNexis credit report. The actual building materials of your home. The mortgage company that you use to close your home loans. The actual title company who closed the home loan, the lender who actually lends you the money for every mortgage you've ever had in your life, including the actual terms of the mortgage, is also in your LexisNexis credit report. Let's talk about vehicles. Every vehicle you've ever owned in your entire life is in your LexisNexis credit report. The actual type of car, the VIN number for the car as well. Every insurance policy you've ever had in your entire life is in this credit report. And on top of that, actually the coverages that you've had for that actual insurance as well. So I think you're starting to get an idea. I mean, this is the depths of what's in this report. Your entire life's history is in here. As a matter of fact, I can only describe this as the most intrusive thing you've ever seen in your entire life. When you look at this, you will be shocked to know that anybody has this much data about you. But what's scary is that anybody can get this data about you. Like anybody. When we actually went to create our own software, we had no issues working out a relationship with LexisNexis to be able to get all of the data that we wanted for anybody that we wanted to get it for. So this is openly available to most organizations that actually want to get it. And again, your entire life's history is in here. Legal records. Again, every time you've had an issue or license issued and revoked, yeah. but also every ticket you've ever had in your life. Now, given I'm a speed demon, so I admit maybe 200 of my 300 pages are probably speeding tickets. But all jokes aside, every time you've ever been arrested for anything is in here. Sex offender records are in here. Misdemeanors, felonies are in here. Speeding tickets, as I mentioned, are in here too. Law enforcement is using this to look back at accidents that you've had in the past and all of the other history for all of the other tickets that you've actually had issued in your life. Now, why is this problematic, for example? Well, I'll give you an example. I went to get an SBA loan. They said, have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor or felony? I said, no, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I can't even remember a time I've been arrested. The lender came back to me and said, why did you lie? Not only did you have a misdemeanor in the past, you had 2 misdemeanors in your past. Now, given I don't even know what they're talking about. I swear this is a 100% true, accurate story. I had to go pull a background check on myself to even know what they were talking about. And sure enough, I'll tell you what happened. I was about 20 years old. I was in the Air Force, and there was this very attractive female police officer in this town that I was stationed. Everybody knew her. All the soldiers talked about her. And I knew I would be a hero if I could actually get this woman's phone number and go out with her. And one day I'm on my motorcycle, I'm riding down the street, and sure enough, I pull up to see a police officer. I look over, and there she is. And so I think, okay, I need to get this woman's attention so I can have a conversation and potentially get her phone number. So I did a series of wheelies in front of her car, and she pulled me over. And I can tell you this, the story did not end well because apparently she was not allowed to date anybody that she arrested. And I sure got arrested that day and got multiple misdemeanors. Now, I don't think about that much because that was like well over 20 going on 30 years ago. And now here I am trying to get an SBA loan. And the fact that I'm doing wheelies at 20 to get a police officer's phone number is what nearly is the death of me on the loan. I had to write a letter of explanation saying I didn't even remember these things, okay? And then explain that I learned from my mistakes, that I've moved on. All of this chaos and a month delay to getting my SBA loan because of one thing, actually 2 misdemeanors that were actually found out right in here. You see, what's happening is lenders and credit issuers are using this to make all kinds of decisions about us. As a matter of fact, I sat on a panel once at a banking convention. I think they thought we were Credit Suisse instead of Credit Suite. Don't know. But all I know is I somehow was on a panel of all of the biggest banks you could think about. Chase, Citi, Bank of America, and Credit Suite was somehow thrown in the mix. And there were all these loan brokers in the audience asking questions. And the lenders were talking about how they validate, how they underwrite, why they're making the decisions that they're making. Okay. And they were dancing around the fact that this is where they're getting all of their data. And so when it came to me, I said, look, I don't think you guys know based on the questions you're asking. I said, but all of these bankers sitting up here, they're all getting the data that they're using to make these decisions from LexisNexis. It's where everything they just said is coming from. This guy here from Chase, he just said that they're going to validate and make sure that your client doesn't have a criminal history. They're pulling that data from LexisNexis. This guy right here, he said that they're going to look back and make sure that you've never been in high-risk industries. He's getting the data from LexisNexis. Every single one of them, I pointed out what they were telling the audience and telling the audience that, hey, they're getting it all from here. And I looked down at the row of lenders and I said, aren't you guys? And then sure enough, they're all like, they wouldn't say a thing. They just nodded their head. They didn't want these loan brokers to know that this is where all of that data is coming from, that all this secret information that they're getting to make decisions about borrowers isn't coming from all of these different places. It's coming from one. It's coming from LexisNexis. And this gives us great power because now that we know what they don't want us to know, we know basically where the data is, then it gives us the ability to control the data. And we're going to talk about getting a report and controlling the data as well. By the way, as well as you can imagine, loan application data, public record data is in there, shared background and banking information is in there, who you've ever been married to, your marriage license information, your divorce records are in there, even your children. We can't leave them out. So the ages of your kids, the names of your kids, all of their information, it's all in the LexisNexis report. And by the way, I'm just scratching the surface. I haven't even got to so many other things that are in this report about you. So what do we do about it? Well, a lot of people ask me, should I freeze this? Heck no, you shouldn't. You can't. You can only freeze a LexisNexis credit report if you need to, like you're a government official. Okay, and you need to keep the information private. Otherwise, this is out in the world. Now, here's the great news. You now know something most people know nothing about. And I love that because it gives us a completely unfair advantage. And here's why. Lenders and credit issuers and the police officers and the government and insurance companies, they're all using this information. I'll give you one more example. I went to get an insurance policy on a watch I had. Rolex, favorite watch I ever had. Went to get it insured. They denied me. I thought, what the heck? I've never had a claim on insurance before. So I got to the actual underwriter and said, what happened? She goes, we pulled your LexisNexis like insurance jewelry report. I didn't even know that was a thing. And she said, that's where we got unfavorable information. I can't tell you what it is, but get the report, dispute it, remove it, and reapply. I did and got approved. This was an underwriter stating, hey, here's what happened. We got the data from here, okay? And then all you have to do is get this, dispute it, remove it, reapply, and get approved, and it's exactly what happened. I had another SBA loan I applied for, and they wanted to collateralize my home. Now, we had plenty of account receivables. There was no reason for them to ask for my home as an asset. So I asked them, why would you do this? They said, well, there's judgments on your LexisNexis credit report that we really don't like. This was the very first time I even realized what LexisNexis was. I pulled my LexisNexis report and found out the judgments they were talking about weren't even true. They weren't even mine. I spent an entire day going to the county and trying to get proof that I didn't have judgments I didn't have. Pretty hard to prove a negative, but I did get the proof. I went to LexisNexis. They disputed, and I disputed, and they removed the judgments. I proved it to the lender, and the lender, listen to this, the lender removed the requirement to collateralize my home. Do you know how big of a deal that is? In one moment, my house has to be pledged as collateral for a business SBA loan. And the next moment, it doesn't. All because I realized where they got the data from, disputed it, proved it was wrong. And then again, now I removed the data from my credit report and have never had that problem again. Knowing what is in this report and cleaning it up is essential to your life. This is where the credit bureaus get their data from. So when you come to the source, so many people have said things like, hey, how do I dispute and remove a bankruptcy or a judgment? You go to the source. They're not getting it from the courts. They're getting it from here. If you dispute it and fix it here, then you dispute it with a credit bureau like TransUnion. TransUnion goes back to LexisNexis to dispute. And then when it's gone from LexisNexis, it's gone from TransUnion. This is the root of all evil. It's where everything is. So first of all, you are entitled 100% to a free copy of your LexisNexis credit report. By the way, you're not going to probably get something like this. They don't do this anymore for pretty obvious reasons. We killed some trees by giving me this one report. You can go type in right now, free LexisNexis credit report, okay? Here is how you see LexisNexis. Go type into Google, free LexisNexis credit report. You're going to go to LexisNexis. They're going to enter you for info, and then they will mail you a very small, regular envelope with not anything that looks like this. What they're going to do is they're going to give you a PIN number and a link to go to. You're going to go to the link. You're going to enter the PIN, and voila, you're going to be able to look at your actual LexisNexis credit report. The next thing that you want to do is you want to maybe print it, maybe not, depending on how much ink you have in your printer. You want to start going through every single aspect of that. Now, take yourself a couple days because you're going to have to get over the shock of what you're going to find. And after you've settled down and you've stopped being as mad as you're going to be that everybody has access to this much information about your life, you're going to want to go back through and start highlighting and making a note of 100% of the data in this report that is not favorable to you. And by the way, Seth says links in emails not working. I'm not exactly sure what that is, Seth, but if you give us more info, we'll be able to give you some more insight that. And Richard, hello, and thanks for coming in from Houston. Mike South is in the house as well from St. Louis. And Timothy, I'm always learning from you about business credit and business capital. I appreciate that, Timothy. Thank you very much for coming in. And again, give me your company name on to give you a shout out on the live stream. So we're going to go type in free LexisNexis credit report. And again, this is LexisNexis. Okay, that's how you put it in there. Now what we're going to do is we're then going to get that report. They're going to give us a code. We're going to go in. We're going to get it. We're going to look through it, get over the shock. Then we're going to highlight everything that's unfavorable. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to write them back. In the letter they sent, they provided their address. They provided a report number. We're going to write them back with everything in that report that we believe to be inaccurate, unfair, whatever it may be. Now, if we have proof, we want to supply proof. If we don't have proof, we don't supply proof of whatever it is that we're trying to dispute. Then we give them 30 days, just like any other bureau required under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and they more than likely will dispute or remove those items. Let me give you an example. When I went to LexisNexis, I said, hey, look, my mortgage business failed. I had 2 judgments. These are real. They're on my report. They're real. These 2 judgments, not real. Don't know where you got that from, right? When I went back and disputed that with them, they ended up removing all of my judgments, even the ones I told them were actually accurate from back in the day when my mortgage industry collapsed. So keep in mind, they're not going to update this report with accurate information. More than likely, what they're going to do is remove the information from your credit report altogether. Here's why we want to do it. Think about the unfair advantage we have. Lenders have a secret credit report they're using to make decisions about us. Guess what? We know the secret. We know the secret. So now we can go get the secret report that they don't think we know about. Then we can dispute everything in here we don't like that's unfavorable and inaccurate. Then we can clean all this thing up. My LexisNexis is now a work of art. It really is, because I disputed everything that didn't make sense. And now I want lenders to pull this. I want law enforcement. I want everybody to look at it because I know it's favorable the way that I want it to be. And lenders don't know I know. They don't know I ever disputed it. They don't know. So you have an unfair advantage. You know about their secret report. Now you know how to get it. Now you know how to dispute it. You can clean it up and make it a work of art. So now you can sit back with confidence that lenders, credit issuers, insurance companies, the government, law enforcement, whoever it is that's pulling it is going to see the things you want them to know. Phone number, email address you don't want on there. It has every company you're ever associated with. Maybe you're in a high-risk industry and you don't want to be associated with that industry. Dispute that, having that removed. Maybe you don't want to have these car accidents on your credit report. They're going to adversely affect your ability to have insurance. Well, you think it's inaccurate, dispute it and have the information removed. Maybe you're paying higher rates from lenders and credit issuers because, again, maybe you're high risk in other ways. You've got licenses that you had suspended, or maybe you've got things on there like I did, old misdemeanors that you don't want to have to deal with. Maybe you've got old judgments and public records and tax liens on there that keep coming out and you didn't know why, and now you know why. Whatever it may be, dispute to LexisNexis. If you could do it with no proof, if they come back and validate it and say it remains, then go back and dispute it with whatever proof you have. But typically in one dispute, you'll be able to clean up 80% or more of the negative items on your LexisNexis. Now it reflects the way you want it to reflect. And now when anybody is pulling that report, you have confidence to know that they are saying what you want them to see. Now Seth says, hey, I thought the funding revolution was now, but you are here. Webinar was supposed to be now. Seth, it is not supposed to be now. The funding revolution is something just especially for our partners, and that is actually taking place at 3 p.m. So if you actually check on the link in your email, you'll see that that's taking place in an hour and a half Eastern time in the normal allotted time that we always do our partner webinars. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't believe that this is actually, yep, I think that we are definitely in the right place. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so that being said, so Seth, you can reach out to your account executive, check the link again. The funding revolution is taking place at 3 o'clock Eastern today, and that is a special exclusive event for Credit Suite partners. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to wrap up. Now you know what's on your LexisNexis credit report. You know who's using your LexisNexis credit report. You know how to get a copy of your LexisNexis credit report. You know that banks, financial exchanges, government databases, third-party aggregators are all using this data as well, okay? And you know how to get a free copy. You know how to review it. Now we've talked about disputing errors, waiting for those results, and then ultimately optimizing your report the way that you want it to be. So now you know everything you need to know about your LexisNexis credit report. Do not delay. Right now, no, stop. Stop whatever you're doing, whatever you're typing and working, stop. Go right now to Google and type free LexisNexis credit report, okay? LexisNexis, LexisNexis credit report. Go ahead. It takes literally less than 1 minute to do this. And then in the mail, you're going to get everything you need to access that report and to do your dispute. By the way, if you need help along the way, let us know. If you are a Credit Suite client or partner, this is one of the things that our advising team helps you through. We help you get your LexisNexis credit report and clean it up. So if you have any questions, let us know. If you'd like to talk more about what's on your credit reports, even improving them, especially for the sake of business credit, then make sure you get in touch with our team at creditsuite.com/consult. There, you'll be able to actually meet with our team, get a free business financing assessment to see the funding you can get now. We'll even help you get we'll even get for you a 100% free Dun & Bradstreet credit report and score on the fly right there for you. And we'll give you tips and tactics to improve your business credit. You can get that by giving us a call, but it's a number on our website. You can also come in and go to creditsuite.com/consult to schedule. Make sure you get a copy of your LexisNexis credit report. If you got value from this training, make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you keep your eye out on our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get the money we need to start